The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests, and are not those of Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements of any radio show programs or products mentioned on air, on our website, social media accounts and marketing materials. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back to the Songwriter Show. I'm your host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are very important to me, and that's why I'm thrilled to host this show for you every Tuesday evening. I believe that every song is a story. The Songwriter Show is broadcast live on number 1 ranked Pesmo Radio and has listeners in all 26 countries in the world and every state in the U.S. The station is licensed with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Sound Exchange, and has partnerships throughout the music industry, including iHeartRadio and exposure to over 300 million listeners. Tonight I'm excited to present singer, songwriter, and musician Davy Williamson. He harnesses the power of music to help others with his debut single, Thin Disguise, and his forthcoming EP. One element that makes music so powerful is its ability to heal. For American singer-songwriter Davy Williamson, music has helped him fight off his own personal demons. Now, Williamson aims to utilize his platform to assist others with the same struggles.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Davey. How you doing tonight?
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good.
I was looking at your story a little bit, and I think the audience really wants to know what got you started down this road of music.
Well, I started as a child, and I grew up around musicians. My father was a musician. My stepfather was a musician. My mother being a big music fan and somewhat of a groupie, I guess. Collectively, my influences came from family. Is how it all started. And you know, as you go through your childhood, you become more enthralled with the idea of becoming the guy that's on the stage. So that's kind of where it all started, for me at least.
Okay. Is there an instrument that you play, or what do you think is your hidden talent?
Yeah. So I actually play all the instruments on Thin Disguise: bass, drums, guitar, percussion, backing vocals, lead guitar, and drums. So I play all of the instruments and a few more, as well as piano on that one, in fact. And I do so on the entire album that we're getting ready to release next month. Okay,
that's really cool. Is there an instrument that you would say is your favorite instrument, or something that really you lock into?
Man, I'm a big fan of the drums, and I think it's can get the aggression out. Yeah. So for me, that's really the outlet. That's my outlet instrument. Now, as far as listening, I'd have to say, unfortunately, I can't play the saxophone, and I'm okay at the piano, but I wouldn't say I'm a pro yet.
Okay, cool. When you look at yourself and your process, when you sit down to write a song, do you start with the drum track, the groove? Do you start with the melody? What do you start with?
That's a good question. A lot of people ask me this, and I start with the acoustic guitar as far as riffs are concerned, or drums. Or drums, bass, or guitar are the root instruments that I use to try to build a song. For the foundation, as far as lyrical content, I go about it a little stranger, I think, than most people. I make up the melody lines by making up fake words, just mumbling nonsense.
Yeah.
And then I record it that way, and then I go back behind it and then rewrite the lyrics according to the melody.
Yeah, I got you. I think using nonsense or gibberish, I think that's a great way to lock in your melody and then try to figure out, what words you want to that. I think a lot of people do that, actually.
Well, I feel for them.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's definitely not the easiest, right? I mean,
well, yeah.
tell you, I've been writing lyrics forever, and when I first started, back in third grade or whatever, it was like you just write a song like "I love you, yes I do," and then you try to figure out the rest of it. But when you go the other way, it definitely limits what you can put in those spots for sure.
It does, and for it to grasp an audience, it's tough to do. It's a little more difficult to do doing it that way because you have to choose choice words so that you can get the impact that you're trying to get with the listener.
Yeah, I totally get it. So you've already told us that your family is musical. Would you say which one of them was the biggest influence on you musically, if you could pick one?
My brother was beside me the whole time playing. So though it didn't seem like it at the time that he was the biggest influence, I'd have to say that he was, but in a kind of like sidekick kind of way.
Sure.
He continued to be there so that I felt like I always was trying to outshine my younger brother,
Yeah.
And in some demented way in my head, I was like, well, I can't let him be better than me at that, and I think that's just the older brother in me. But at the end of the day, he really pushed me to continue pursuing, and he's a great player himself and still plays music to this day. That's
really cool, actually, that you had somebody to push you. When you come up with songs, do you run it by your brother? Who's your influence, or who do you run it by to see if it's a hit or something worth pursuing, take it to the next level?
I only ever, as I'm building the songs, I never let anybody hear it until I'm done. And by done, I mean like, okay, I can put this out. One of the guy who helps me, one of my engineers, producer, his name is Sean Atkins. He kind of acts as my sidekick when it comes to the writing, and it's easy to do it that way because there's no judgment there, and it's for the good of the song and for the better of the song, to make the song better. It's not about his personal, what he thinks or his influence. He really takes into consideration where my head's at and where I want the song to go. And it's good to bounce the idea off of him, and he's truthful. So
yeah,
between him and my brother will tell me it's terrible until I'm almost going to release it. And by the time I have his okay, I usually by that point I know that I can put it out, or at least know what the song is that I need to release as a single.
Sure. You said that, and now the Neil Horan song, No Judgment, is stuck in my head because you mentioned those words.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you could be in a room with any one musician, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one, isn't it? I would say Elton John.
Okay, that's a great choice.
Elton John, this is a tough one for me because it's really Bernie Taupin, right?
Yeah.
So, if I could, I would like to be stuck. I'd like to be stuck in the room with those two for songwriting purposes only. Because to watch them collaborate reminds me a lot of what it takes to build a song. One person is the performer and has a grip on how to make the song come across correct, and one guy's prolific and he just can spit out the lyrics that make all the sense in the world if performed correctly. But if you read the lyrics by themselves, you may not really feel the full effect of what they were supposed to mean or how they were supposed to influence people.
Yeah, and I think what you brought up right now is a key thing, prosody. You could take lyrics by themselves, music by themselves, but when you mix them together, that's what really, I think, makes the magic in a song.
It does. Yeah, I about 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, so we have one of our listeners, Patrick, is asking what part of the country you're from.
So I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina, East Coast guy in the United States.
Okay.
And, I'm country sounding, if that's why you ask.
Yeah, no, that's cool, yeah. So are you happy Michael Jordan is in North Carolina now?
In fact, I went to the same high school as Michael Jordan.
Did you really?
I did.
So were you one of the ones that cut him from the basketball team when he was a sophomore?
I'm not nearly old enough to do any of that. So.
All right.
But I did play basketball all growing up, and had a blast just playing around town, because a lot of people moved here or came here just so they could be a part of what Jordan created. But we went to the same high school, and so it was always cool to see him come back every year and just kind of jump around in the gymnasium and show off in front of everybody. And he bought the equipment a lot of times, and he would buy the gear for the guys to wear and all that kind of stuff. So it was super cool having Jordan around growing up.
Yeah, that's very cool. We miss him in Chicago. We wish he would have stayed here, but,
Yeah, man.
Some things you can't control, I guess.
Yeah, well, those were the glory years anyway. At least you guys got those.
Yeah, thinking about the Chicago Bulls now brings up a question for you. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your professional career, would you say?
Oh, man. Whoa, that's a tough one. I'd have to say, man, you've thrown me for a loop here. The biggest mistake that I've made in my professional career in music, I think is not going into the recording studio ill prepared. If this makes any sense, I know this is completely backwards, but I write better in the studio with everything at my fingertips, with the piano, the guitar, the bass. I get into almost like a manic mode, and I can create better like that. And it allows for me to pass off as more real in the recordings. And when I would prepare things too much and go into the studio, it was disastrous, because then I had this idea of what it was going to be. Then I hear it recorded and I realize it sounds nothing like what I was aiming for. So then I'm scrambling, and then I put out a product that I'm not necessarily as happy with.
Yeah.
So it's to answer your question, exactly, it would just be being over prepared, not just jumping in wholeheartedly. In the industry when I first started, I since have done that many years back, but back in the day when I first began, I think that the mistake that I made was over preparedness. I was always wanting to be so perfect that I never actually did what I wanted to do when I was younger. And at some point I broke out of that shell and was able to continue to pursue and move forward.
Yeah. And it's really tough too, because studios are expensive. So
yes,
I've only recorded in a studio once, and while I wish I could do that all the time, they're pricey, and you really, really got to get your ducks in a row, because otherwise, if you're sitting there, there's so many ways you could just waste time. You got to warm up vocally before that. If you're with a band or you have a guitarist and a drummer, between getting mic'd up, again, it's awesome. And the music definitely sounds different. The two best songs I've ever done were done in a studio. But man, it's not for everybody, and it's definitely a challenge for sure. You're right about that.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's my thing with it has been I had to get I had to get wise enough within knowing the instruments and knowing how they sound once they're recorded. It's just spending so much time in a studio over the years. Now when I go in, I can kind of anticipate what I'm going to do, but if I don't hear the sound that I want or the things that I like, now I know how to make those adjustments. And a lot of that comes with, working with engineers and being a bit of an engineer on the recording side myself.
Yeah, and that's a huge advantage you have, because you definitely understand a whole new side of it, which personally for me, I think is one of my weaknesses, and it just helps you tremendously, I think.
Yeah, it definitely will. Yeah. So I think everybody should learn all sides of it. Learn the business side, learn the recording side, learn the performance side, and then the legal side if you decide to take it real serious. If you ever pursue a career in music, you need to know at least a little bit of all of those.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. One of the questions I like to ask everybody on this show is about scams. Tell us about something that that's out there, something that happened to you, just so we can protect each other.
Scams in the music business.
Yeah, I know they never happen, but
Well, it depends on how deep you are into the business. One of the things that has happened to me in the past, I don't like to point the finger at anything, and I don't like to say that it's a scam. It was kind of backing up to the previous question. I was over prepared without actually knowing what I was doing. And if by focusing on being so prepared on the music side, I let go of understanding the business side. I let go of understanding what it meant to sign a record deal. I let go of what it meant to have a publicist or to have a manager or have a booking agent. One of the biggest things that has happened to me that I was influenced by and didn't realize how hard I was getting ripped off was out west. And in fact, even I think I did the same thing in Chicago at a show at one point, and I don't want to name any venues, but where it's a play to pay.
Yeah.
So what they do is they'll make you room out, and then you go out and sell tickets, and they keep a percentage of the tickets. So not only are they making money for the room, but they're making money off the ticket sales and the alcohol sales the whole time. Now, this was when I was younger, and I didn't understand business, but I'm a business owner outside of the music business as well now. A couple different businesses that I've learned how to do remotely so that I could float my music career. And that started many, 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 many years ago so that I could do it remotely before COVID and everything hit.
Yeah.
So I was able to figure that out, but the biggest scam was not understanding business. And when you have somebody who's willing to take advantage of you because you're a dreamer and you think that you're going to pack the house, well, when you start paying $500 for the room for the night and you only sell 20 tickets and they have to meet a certain amount of money before you can get paid anything. So you leave and you made $0, but you traveled 6 hours to get there and you have 6 hours to go. You find out quick that you need to educate yourself on how to make money in the music business beforehand. So that's how I was taken advantage of by the performance end of it.
Yeah, Brian is chiming in, one of our listeners, about smaller scams, and I think what you said is huge. That's a huge scam, and I think honestly we've all fallen for it. And I think you get burned once, twice. You brought up a great point, which is that people like to tell us that, hey, come and perform for free, and you'll get exposure, and
terrible. Yeah.
That's torture too. But the other scam that I've fallen for many times is people that want like $5, $10, $20 to promote a post, promote a song. Oh, this isn't fake. You're going to get, I'm going to promote you on my Twitter account. You look, they have 1 million followers. Man, there's so much garbage like that out there.
There is.
And, you're a musician. You think, oh, $10, $20. Yeah, this guy's got 1 million followers. He'll promote me. And I think that is one of those underappreciated scams too, personally, that is easy to fall for because it's not like they're asking for thousands.
I'll agree with you on that. And the thing I'll say about it is you have to start with being honest with yourself. Okay. You've probably seen American Idol, and all the listeners probably have too, where you have people that go in and, it's all, ooh, and they think they just sound amazing. I mean, the people around you, and as musicians, as a community, and as a group, it's hard to tell somebody, hey man, that sounds like trash, because you don't want to, because it's not. It may just be the way that they feel, and that's where emoting differently people relate to versus other people. But at some point, you have to be able to be honest with yourself and say, am I really happy with that? Which goes back to our previous question about the studio. Where you go and you start scrambling when you release something, and then you're like, man, this it sounds pretty good. You can convince yourself that it sounds good.
Yes.
When it doesn't. So you really have to be honest with yourself, and that's something I struggled with in my early years, and even do to this day. But you have to put it in front of people who will tell you the truth, which is what I mentioned about Sean Atkins. Is that, he will tell me bold-faced that this is the most god-awful thing I've ever heard you do. And, I have to just take it with a grain of salt, not get upset, and not let it get to me mentally.
Yeah.
And then continue to move past it.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I have found, you can convince yourself, like you said, that things are great. But at this point, after 8 years of doing this, if there's anything that gnaws at me even a little bit, you know what I mean? I've realized that just edit it. Just fix it, re-sing it, do something to it. Because if it bugs you a little bit, and I listen to some of my earlier work, and I listen to it now, and it just I'm like, oh God, why did I really...
I do the same thing.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like... I actually had someone suggest once, which I've always wanted to do, but it defeats the purpose, just to start over, get rid of the whole past and be like, hey, I'm releasing this new stuff, so all the old stuff isn't out there, but I've always wanted it to be part of the journey so people can see, look, I got better, I kept working at it. And you can argue both sides of the coin there, but I understand why people do that.
Yeah, my story with changing like the band names and this kind of thing for me it was always the members that I played with. So, I never did it to avoid who I was prior, because everybody grows, right? And everybody's going to continue to get better. If you judge me off of my first performances when I was a kid versus my performances now, that says more about you than it does me, right?
Yeah.
So I like to focus on growth versus focusing on past behavior.
Yeah, that's fair enough. No, I totally get that. All right, buddy. We're going to listen to your song now. So tell us in about a minute what inspired it. What do you want us to take from it when we listen to it here?
Yeah, so the song itself, I like to leave anything that I do musically up to interpretation. So I don't like to really put a storyline ahead of it. For me personally, the song acts as a means to have closure with a separation with my parents in a divorce where I was in the middle of their separation in a big fight and an argument. And it was because something had happened where there was communication with another woman and this and that. And then the stories about when we grew up, one side talking bad about the other, and then the other side talking about the other side as well. And so just being stuck as a kid in the middle of that, hating both sides of the lies that I was being told and their alibis. So that's the song.
Okay, cool. All right, let's check this out, everybody, and then we'll come back and talk some more, okay?
Welcome.
All right, awesome. Here we go. Well, that was really cool, Davey. That was interesting, man. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for playing it.
No problem. Tell us a little bit about your plans. What's going on with when you're releasing music, the EP? Tell us a little bit. I'm sure the audience is eager to know the answers to that.
Yeah, so it all started out, we were supposed to, for quarter one, like they say in the biz, or for January, we were supposed to release an EP, a 4-song EP. Well, as fate would have it, in the studio, we were trying to kind of clean things up, get things mixed. I just continued to write additional songs. So now here we go. We're getting ready to release an album that we will at the end of this month. It actually is going on pre-sale on the 19th. That'll be everywhere. All the stores, online stores, streaming and everything. And there will be a Thin Disguise, which we just heard, will be available on that, even to the pre-sale. And then on the 1st, it would be released in its entirety. So easy to find if you just look me up, Davy Williamson, in Google. It'll pull up whatever streaming service you have and also give you a little bit more background on me and what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. My next question was going to be, tell us where the audience can buy your music, stream it.
Yeah, I mean all the stores, Apple Music, Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, obviously. I'm available through all the TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all those kind of things as well. But the easiest mode, like I said, is probably just Google my name, Davy Williamson, Williamson. And it's also DavyWilliamson.com, which has links to all those different sites.
Awesome. All right. What was your favorite 80s jam?
80s, Aha, Take On Me.
Oh, I love that song, man. I remember that video. That is such a kick-ass song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Great tune. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the best answer I had all night. You notice that?
What's the coolest road trip you ever been on?
I went on, let's see. I've traveled a lot. So I've driven through every state in the United States except for Hawaii. And I've driven all the lower provinces of Canada, and including Alaska, obviously, up high. And then road trip, I would have to say it was when we went straight to Halifax, Nova Scotia, and then drove all Canadian 1 all the way across to Banff, Canada.
Wow, that's cool.
Without coming back into America. That was really cool because it's extremely desolate, and then out of nowhere, boom, Calgary. It's a massive city. It reminds me a lot of Chicago.
Yeah. Cool.
Really cool.
Marvel or DC? What's your fave?
Ooh, man, you're gonna get me in trouble now. I don't want to answer that.
All right. What's the funniest thing that's happened to you? What's that?
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
No problem, man. What's the funniest thing that's happened to you in the last year or two?
Oh boy, funniest thing that's happened to me in the past year. Oh man. Funnest or funniest? Funnest.
Either one. Your choice.
I got married a year, 6 months ago. It's a little more than that.
All right. I'm going to edit the Songwriter Show afterwards and just delete fun and just going to say funniest. And then she's going to hear that and she's going to chase you around the house.
There you go. That's that'll get me in all the good graces, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm.
All right, my friend. This was an absolute pleasure. I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, Sarantos. And thanks so much. And thank you to all the listeners out there. I really appreciate you guys tuning in.
You're welcome, man. So, yeah, thank you to all the listeners out there for listening. I know your time is precious, and spending a little bit of it with us on a Tuesday night makes us feel really happy. So thank you for listening. I hope your own unique story gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every Tuesday night to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show. And tonight I'm going to leave you with a song of mine called Valentine's Day. Yep, Valentine's is around the corner. Love is in the air, so I thought you'd enjoy it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week. Have a great night, everyone.
It's almost Valentine's Day. I'm wondering out loud, what is love and why is it allowed? Love is not for everyone. Love is sometimes elusive. Love can be found. Love can be effusive. If you find love, then you know that love is real, real is love. Love is kind, kind is love. Love is gentle, gentle is love. Love is pure, pure is love. It's Valentine's Day today. The world is still round. Where is love? Is it all around? Love is all around today. True love is free. Love can be found. Love, it is all around me. Real, real is love. Love is kind, kind is love. Love is gentle, gentle is love. Love is pure, pure is love. Valentine's Day, I'll think about heaven no love. Love is kind, kind is love. Love is gentle, gentle is love. Love is pure, pure is love. On Valentine's Day, I think about love.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.
Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.